Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the Random Diaries. Today I'm going to be doing my June wrap-up for you. And I've recorded this video several times and I just kept having a problem with the video, but hopefully this is going to be the last time. So while recording this video, I'm also working on a reading vlog. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to post that maybe towards the end of the week. So look out for that. But for today, I'm going to be talking about my June wrap-up. I read a total of 12 books. I'm going to put the breakdown on the screen of the age range, the star rating, as well as the genres. So with that being said, I'm going to start off actually with the last book that I read in June. I think I read this like on the 29th of June. Or what made me get this book was the concept. The concept is a 5-star concept for me. I absolutely loved the idea. I loved the premise. So the idea behind this is it's sort of giving you kind of like an origin story to mermaids. And it's saying that mermaids originate from children. Okay, how do I explain this? So mermaids are originally from African women that were taken on the slave ships, and they were pregnant at the time. And during labor, what the slave owners would do is they would just throw these women overboard because they would just be too much trouble for them. So the women would be thrown overboard. They would give birth in the water. The women would die, but the babies would survive. And the idea behind that, like how is that possible? The idea is since they're in amniotic fluid in the womb and they're able to breathe kind of like underwater, then the transition to being in the ocean isn't that big of a leap. And so how do these babies survive? They're found by whales, and the whales kind of adopt them into their own pods, and they give them whale milk, and they take care of them. And then slowly the number of these mer people increases, and they end up finding each other, and they create sort of like a family of their own, or a tribe of their own, and they're called the Wajanru. So that's the history. Now, what is this story specifically about? It's about this concept of having somebody within the tribe that is called the historian. And the historian's job is to take all of the rememberings, they call them, not memories, rememberings of the tribe members, and it's kept, or all of these memories are kept within that one person or that one historian. And the idea behind that is because the memories are super painful, super tragic, and it's just, it comes with a lot of grief, they can't function. And so they give it to this person, and then once a year they have this day called the remembrance, where the memories or the rememberings are given back to the people. They live with them for a couple of days, or probably like 3 or 4 days. But then at the end of the 3 or 4 days, the memories are just too painful, and they end up giving them back to the historian. And why do they have this day of remembrance? It's because towards the end of that year, everybody kind of wanders around aimlessly. They're not sure who they are, where they come from, who they come from, what kind of people they are, and so that's why they end up taking their memories back. So the concept is amazing. I'm telling you, I got this because of the concept. And I loved that the focus was on not the life of the slaves after they reach the colonies or America, but it's about, that journey in between from their homeland to the States. I love that the focus was on that. It wasn't just on when they get there, because a lot of stories are about when they get there. But I don't think I liked how the story was told. I think I would have preferred if the focus or the memories that we were shown, the flashbacks that were shown, were of the ancestors. So these African women that were taken from their homes, I would have wanted to see that. I would have wanted to see a little bit more of them being on the ship, maybe like their last thoughts when they're in the water. Something like that I think would have been more touching for me. I anticipated reading this story and sobbing, and it's like I thought I was gonna sob and cry, that painful cry that kind of like constricts your throat. I thought that's what I would experience, a bit of like a cathartic kind of cry, but I didn't. I think because the memories were mainly focused on the Wajanru themselves, so the mer people, I felt like it was a bit removed from me, and I wasn't able to really connect to them. I mean, yeah, you can see the grief, and the main character in the story, her name is Yetu, and she, at the start of the novel, we see her on the Day of Remembrance, and we see how her health is declining, and she's no longer able to tell reality from delusion, and we see the effect of having all of these memories. But then again, it's not about the specific memories, it's about the fact that you have thousands upon like millions of memories, or millions of people's memories that are within her, and that's what was causing her pain. So I think maybe if the focus was a bit shifted, I would have enjoyed it a bit more. But like I said, the concept was good. But all in all, I think I would give this like a 3.5 star rating. Next, I read Tricia Levenseller's Warrior of the Wild. This is my second book by this author. I absolutely love her. I've ordered her other 2 books, and they're thankfully on the way. The story behind this is there is a girl, and during her coming of age trial, somebody sabotages her, and she ends up having she ends up being kicked out of the tribe and given a task that seems like an impossible feat, and only if she fulfills or completes that task is she allowed to come back and be with the tribe. And the task that they give her is to bring the heart of a god, and this god is the person that kind of controls all of the tribes, and all of the offerings are given to this god. I absolutely loved it. I said it once and I'll say it again. Not a lot of authors are able to write a fantasy standalone well, that has the right amount of story, the right amount of character development, the right amount of fantastical elements. It's just everything is an appropriate amount for me, and I absolutely love this story, and so I gave this a 5 out of 5. Next we have Marriage for One. This is the only romance that I read this month. Let's all just acknowledge the reality of this cover. Okay, got it? All right. The story behind this is about a girl, or a woman I should say, and while she's going to the lawyer's office, who is the executor of her uncle's will, she gets interceded by a man. Interceded? She gets interceded? Is that right? She's intercepted. She's intercepted. She's intercepted on the way to the lawyer's office by a man who is also a lawyer at the firm, and he offers her, or he gives her a proposition, and he tells her, marry me so that you're able to open this coffee shop that her uncle was going to make possible for her, and I'll give you the coffee shop, I'll give you, I'll give it to you free of rent and all that jazz. And why is that so? Her uncle had stipulated in his will that the man that she marries is going to own the building. And so you go in thinking that this is the sole purpose for him offering that, the marriage, and offering that proposition. All in all, I like the story. There was an element towards the end that I felt like it made it a bit unbelievable-ish. I would say like on the verge of insta-love, but thinking about it, it's not, I wouldn't call it insta-love at all, but it was like on the precipice of being that. But all in all, I actually really did enjoy the story. I think I got through this in one sitting, and it's a biggish book. It's like 500 pages. But all in all, I really did enjoy this. I think I gave this a 4 out of 5. I also was able to complete or read the second book in the Bargainer series, so I can't really say much about this so that I don't ruin it for anybody, but I enjoyed the direction of the story. I enjoyed, similarly to the first one, I enjoyed the world building of the Fae realm and the different characters, and like the Fae that are here are not your glorious, beautiful Fae that are all, tra-la-la. They're actually serious Fae that are on the verge of being called evil, but it's dark. I like it, and I'm excited to continue the story. I don't remember what I gave this. I'm gonna put the star rating somewhere here. I was also able to finish Sorcery of Thorns. This book came highly recommended. The story behind this is there is it's in a world where there are different libraries, and you have wardens that protect grimoires in these libraries from turning into monsters. Now, if any of these grimoires get damaged, that's when they turn into monsters, and these wardens have to protect the world that they're in and capture the monsters and bring them back to the library. Our main character is an apprentice, so she's not yet a warden, but she is able to vanquish a monster from a grimoire, and the story goes on from there. I thought I would like this a lot more than I did. the thing that kind of pushed me away, or the thing that I didn't like as much, I think, were some of the characters. Like the male character, I mean, I wasn't really, I didn't love him. There's a demon in the book that I actually really loved. And then the female character, she was kind of swooning. It was just a bit too much for me, but I enjoyed the story. It was an adventure. I enjoyed the magical elements that were in this story as well. Was it my favorite? No. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, I did. It was a good read. Next we have Renee Ahdieh's The Wrath and the Dawn. So this is loosely based off of the story of 1001 Nights. If you're not familiar with that story, I haven't read it yet, but the story is about a woman named Shahrazad, and she's brought to like a shah or a king or something, and in order for her to delay either her murder, she ends up telling him stories, and she ends each story in a cliffhanger so that she doesn't get killed, and she's brought in the next day up until the king falls in love with her, and she tells him stories for 1001 Nights. I think that's the story, but it's I think that's the story. So this is based off of that. You have a character with a similar name, Shahrazad, and the king in this world is a young king. He's 18 or 19 years old, and he marries girls, but then by dawn they are murdered. One of these brides is our main character's best friend. So she ends up volunteering to be one of these brides in order to figure out what is going on, and then to ultimately kill the king so that his reign of tyranny is over. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the Arabian aspect because I do live in the Middle East and I am Arab. I enjoyed that. It was nice seeing, you know, the Bedouin tribes and seeing the palace as well. I actually really did enjoy the story, and I'm really looking forward to reading the second one. I also started a book in a 6-book series. So this is by Maria Snyder. It's called Poison Study. I'm not sure what this series is called, but I don't know. I'm not sure what the series is called, but I liked it. The idea behind this is our character, or we start off meeting a character that is set for execution. And on her execution day, she's brought into the second in command, and she's given an opportunity. She can either continue and be executed, or she can take up the position of food taster for the commander. Now, the way that this world is set up, it's a set of 8 districts. Each district is ruled by a general, and all of the generals answer to one commander. And so she is given the opportunity to become the food taster to that commander. I love the characters, I love the story, I love the magic system. The way that the magic is described in the book, they use this analogy of like a blanket over the country. And so if you are not trained to use your magic properly, if anybody uses their magic improperly, then it causes sort of like a rip and a tear in that blanket, and it can ultimately cause the magic to run out, and then it takes them centuries to recuperate. I loved the story. I loved the characters. The main character, she isn't rash. I don't like characters that make rash decisions and jump to conclusions. I loved seeing her apply her skills in different situations. There are 2 other characters that I also appreciated, the commander and the second in command. They are also people that are not rash. They think things through. They allow people to explain themselves. So I thought the characters in this book were very level-headed, which I really, really appreciated. So I'm excited to continue this series. Next, we have Patrick Ness's A Monster Calls. So this is originally by somebody called, I think, Siobhan Dowd. Siobhan Dowd, yeah. And Patrick Ness just finished up the story. This book also got made into a movie, so I kind of want to see that as well, because it has Liam Neeson and Sigourney Weaver. I've never read anything by Patrick Ness. I keep hearing people talk about him and recommending his books. As a first experience, this is a middle grade book, and in this book there's a boy. He's 13 years old, and one night at midnight he looks outside of his window and he sees a monster comes in the form of a yew tree, and he doesn't know what this monster wants, and we don't know as well, but the element of storytelling is really important in this book. When I was reading this, it reminded me of The Book of Lost Things by John Connolly. That was a book that was also heavily heavily revolved around storytelling. That book is a bit darker than this one. I went into this thinking that it was going to be scarier and darker than it was. I don't know why, but I just thought that it would be. In the end, it wasn't. Did I like it? I liked the story. It was touching. It had a touching ending. Is it my favorite? No. I think I would probably give this like 3.5 stars. And then lastly, I read this series, so the Cruel Prince series by Holly Black. I got through these in one night. I loved the story. I loved the cliffhangers of the first and the second. For me, when stories involve fae or fairies, I am super interested because, and I don't know if this has to do with like my studies because I'm a linguistics major, but I love like the word play, and I love how everybody has to be careful with what they say, how they say it, how they answer questions, how they ask questions, and all of that. So I thought that was interesting. I loved that element being the focus of what is going on. When I was reading the first book, I remember the prince just irritated me because he's a bully, and I was trying really hard to, and I think when you go in knowing that he's going to be the love interest, you take it easy on him. So I took it easy on him for that reason alone, but just seeing the bullying was just, I hate it. But in the end, it worked out. It played well with the story. I loved seeing the evolution of Jude from the first book to the second book, and seeing the reason behind her skills, or how she acquired those skills, I should say. So she's not just good at, sword fighting just because it's an innate ability, but you see that there were months in between the first and the second book, and you got to see that she did practice. She was really well versed in like political machinations and things of that nature. So that was really interesting, seeing her as a young woman know how to defeat these people that have been in this game for a very long time. So all in all, I really did enjoy this series. I would definitely recommend them for anybody that loves fantasy and that loves fae. The sisters pissed me off in this book. I don't think I liked them even towards the end, but all in all, good book. Really enjoyed it.
And that was my June wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe and leave me some comments. I would love to know if you're interested in reading any of these books, or if you've read them, what your thoughts on them were. If you either agree or disagree, I would love to talk to you guys down below. See you next time. The next video is hopefully going to be a reading vlog. I'm so far 2 books into that reading vlog, so I'm super excited. I'm working on editing that, and I think that might go out sometime next week, so midweek probably. But until then, I hope you guys are safe and happy, and I'll see you next time.